welcome to another episode of GorillaCast. I'm in studio today with Aaku Asujamaa, who is CEO and co-founder of Buenno. Welcome to the studio.
Thanks, Sami.
Aaku, could you tell us a little bit about Buenno? How did the idea come about, and what is it that you do?
Absolutely. Actually, our history or idea starts already a bit earlier because our company was founded in 2014. We were studying same time with my another co-founder of Buenno, Sami, during our studies, and Sami was actually working in this big retail company, and they were doing this kind of market research, like mystery shopping. Probably many of the listeners also know what that means, but like this kind of field market research study. And he came to talk to me that, we had this kind of thing, and it was so badly made available for all the personnel in the company. Like nobody really talked about it much, but they were still doing it. And so we were talking with Sami, and then we decided, hey, we can do that better. And we founded the company during our studies, and basically that was the beginning. So then we did like multiple years, like this basic kind of field market research studies, mystery shopping, exit interviews, different kind of stuff. So that was our method of getting the customer satisfaction or customer feedback. Then we have, of course, during later years now, like since 2020, been more focused on SaaS business, and we had a small funding round in 2020 where Gorilla participated as well. And during that time, actually, the idea was that we will make this kind of crowdsourced app for this kind of field market research studies. So we will have an app where we can call for people to do a different kind of customer feedback service in different places. Then COVID came. It hit a bit hard for this kind of thing, like where you ask people to visit restaurants or different kind of stores. It was not maybe the most best time for that. Also, of course, hard to say if the idea was valid. Mm-hmm. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but at least during those COVID time, it was a bit hard to make the case or prove how it would work. But so no, of course, that was 2020. Quite early on, after the funding, we realized that this is not gonna work. We are gonna spend our monies and customers' money and everybody's money if we continue on this track. So then we decided that we need to find something else. We already had a little bit of technical side ready because we had built this kind of reporting platform, survey platform for this earlier business idea. So then we started pivot to more like just this kind of automated customer feedback solution. So because we really had an idea, like we had some nice things in our platform in reporting side and also in the survey answering side. So we were thinking that we have something here. We could try to use this technical solution for this automated customer feedback, and that's basically where we are now. Which is our track currently. Like since like 2021, we started building this complete kind of technological SaaS solution. So a bit long story, but like we had a bit of a history already.
No, that's that's really interesting, and it kind of highlights that you have been revolving around the same customer problem for quite some time, but it seems that there's been quite a bit of evolution in terms of how you're looking to solve that. So based on that. What would you say have been kind of the most pivotal moments during your evolution, and how did those decisions come about?
Yeah, that's I could maybe fastly say a bit about the earlier question, like the what is the kind of the actual thing, because actually this is interesting. I just came about to realize that actually that's true.
Yeah.
We have been solving the same problem actually ever since the 2014, basically. A little bit different kind of methods, and I can soon get to those pivotal moments there, but because at the beginning the problem was like there was this mystery shopping study made, but Sami was just during the studies working there as like some kind of salesperson, but he wasn't made at all aware that what were the results or what we should do based on this. And basically, this is basically the same problem we are still trying to solve. Like, we have this data, we are collecting this customer feedback. We have big companies, like they have hundreds of thousands of these data points and different kind of surveys answered. But how does it affect the real world? Mm-hmm. What is happening there in the salesperson level? Or what is happening, of course, in the strategical level of the company as well? Like, how do we steer this big ship in a different direction based on this feedback, and this is basically what we are doing. But long answer again. But your question was the pivotal moments there. So I would say, of course, basically the first one was the move turn to the kind of like this little bit more startup like a company, not just so we get the funding and trying to build the crowdsourced network TaaS app. That was, of course, the first pivotal moment. So then our kind of DNA of the company changed a bit. But then, of course, the second point is when we realized that, oh man, for some reason this isn't working. Maybe it's the COVID, maybe it's the technology, maybe it's the people. We hired actually during those early phases, we hired one extra salesperson to do the stuff, but he couldn't do it. It wasn't his fault. It's like 100% sure it wasn't his fault. It was more our fault that we did do the hiring at that point of time. But that was the pivotal moment. Then of course, as actually I already earlier said a bit, then like trying to find like what is that we can do, what is good at our solution that we could do during this COVID time. That was also, of course, one reason there as well. And then we turn into this kind of customer feedback side of a business. And we were maybe a bit lucky. Maybe we had some idea there, but like one of our big customers, or like which we had done something small earlier, they immediately wanted to buy this solution from us. So kind of that give us a kind of boost that there is something here that we are. And then of course now there have been multiple pivotal moments in this current SaaS situation of the company.
Yeah. Let's stick with this customer feedback a little bit, because it is critical to your business in two ways. It's something that you're helping your customers with, but at the same time, as one of our pet peeves at Gorilla is that understanding why your customers buy is the most important thing that you can do as a startup founder early on. So what role and how has customer feedback impacted the decisions that you've made along the way?
A lot. It's the of course you cannot like it's not 100%. You need to have some kind of intuition of your own,
absolutely,
as well on what direction to take the company. And also like customers say a lot of things. They want this today and yesterday. Tomorrow they want something else. So then kind of like the process of kind of how do you evaluate the feedback actually? How do you try to find the common denominators in all of that feedback do you have? But absolutely crucial, of course. I think like for example, for us, like one of the big things have been that like in the beginning when we only had like few customers in this SaaS business and all of those others, we have been, it's a kind of constant thought and discussion process with Sami, our other co-founder in the company. I have been very lucky to have Sami with me. Like we have really good like this kind of nurturing relationship where we talk after each kind of like important sales meetings. What did you learn? Like what did they say? Or like big customer meetings in the beginning, kind of all the time trying to find, this was one or two things that they mentioned about our products that we are missing, or it was a little bit of the restriction. Of course, we do not always write them down, but like we have this constant discussion going on there. Then, of course, like we also have, I think one of the biggest, best habits that we have had for the past few years is to actually reserve time for this kind of learning discussion. So we have had like past like 2 years, we have reserved each week we have at least 2 to 3 hours, usually after the workday, so we can focus on that. But this kind of product market fit discussion. What have we learned from our customers? What direction should we take our product? And usually it always starts, what are the latest things our customers have said? That's where we always start the discussion. It also grounds you to the kind of real things that happening in the business.
That's really powerful stuff and very close to our hearts, because once again, I said, if you don't understand what your customers are willing to pay for, then it's very difficult for you to build a sustainable business. That brings up 2 different things. One relating to then the ideal customer profile, which I will get back to shortly. But I think one of the biggest challenges that we see with startup founders is as you mentioned, that customers want a lot of things, and sometimes it's very difficult to distinguish between what is it that they absolutely need to have and must have, and what is it that they just want what would be nice. So when you have those discussions internally and you have this long list of wishes from the customers, how do you try to discern what really is critical and what's not?
That's a really good question. I think that's maybe in the heart of like building the product led startup. That I don't know maybe the right answer, but like I think for us few like important things. As I said, the constant discussion with the founding team, or in my case, co-founder. And I think, like, for example, now we have we are just building a new feature in our, like, big new feature in our product. Just like giving you an example, one customer said that it should it's gonna be like goal setting. How do you set goals in this kind of customer feedback data? One customer said that we need to have goals based on each store, and one customer says that we need to have goals based on each question. And this, you cannot have both. This is impossible. Like, it's gonna be too complex to build. I don't know yet the answer, which one is correct. But this is something, then you need to have this, I guess it comes a little bit like intuition. Like, I'm not sure if I could do it by myself, but with something we have been able to have like this discussion, like, okay, what does it mean if it's based on this? What does it mean if it's based on this? Trying to go this thought process and logical thinking through, but like, of course, maybe some people can intuitively know the answer, but at least for me, I guess the biggest solution is to have actually the time of really think and talk through. Talk through those things that we get from the customers.
Absolutely. I mentioned the ICP or the ideal customer profile, and I think that the theory goes that when you're searching for product market fit, you need to start with a small group of customers who share kind of the same need profile, so that you will be able to service them. Given the evolution that you've gone through since 2014 in your offering and solutions, has that had some sort of an impact on the way you see your ideal customer profile, and has that had an impact on your business?
Yeah, a bit. There has been, of course, some changes in that. I would say, like, in general, it has stayed surprisingly same. Like, from the beginning onwards, we had like these big retail companies as our customers. Our first customers were Aaku Asujamaa in 2013 or 14. So the big customers, and that has stayed the same. They are still kind of in the core. But there are, of course, like some small variations. Like, for example, now because our product is more like this technological solution which needs to integrate well into the other systems in order that we can provide value for the company in both directions. Then, of course, in some market areas, companies don't have such a good technical capabilities yet. For example, they don't have like good enough loyalty programs so that there will be this data that we can base down on service to. So that's of course one of the ways it has changed. But basically, it has stayed quite changed. Same, but we of course have had quite narrow. Like for example, we are not doing any business to business service. We have every now and then we have like questions. Can you use it for that? We are using it for ourselves, but that's basically it.
Yeah.
But like yeah, of course, yeah, you need to have enough narrow focus. And I think now going onwards, because our next steps will be kind of trying to validate the go-to-market strategies for internationalization. I'm a bit careful here. I'm not saying like we are immediately scaling into international, but like validating how to get there. And in those things, I think we need to even more be narrow focused there. Like what is the actual customer that we are helping.
Yeah. Very good. I'll come back to something that you said earlier. During your journey, you hired an external salesperson, and when the sales didn't fly, you feel like it wasn't particularly the person's fault, but it might have been that you weren't just ready for that stage yet. And I think one of the things that we see very often in our world is that there is this kind of pressure to grow fast, and it leads to hiring extra people, trying to start scaling even before you've actually found the product market fit. So could you talk a little bit more? I think it's from the learning point of view, it's great to understand the thought process that you went through in hiring people, and how you have seen the impact of that to your business.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, every case is maybe a little bit different, and there's different things there. But I think for us, like, yeah, of course, when you get the first funding round close, like you have these external investors in the company who, like, you feel responsible for. Then of course, usually, I think it's probably quite usual mistake to make the guess that okay, now we know what we need to build. Like we have showcased this product for our investors. It was in our deck, and they invested money. And we have maybe some pilot customers, maybe first few customers who are already paying customers. Well, now we know what we need to build, and now we just need to scale this, like hire 4 different salespersons, build more of what was proposed. And of course, sometimes that's true. But I guess that's quite rare example where it goes like directly from the pitch deck to the product and like scaling. Quite often there's some kind of pivot, some kind of variation that you need to do. And in our case, of course, as I explained, the first version of our product that we were trying to do was this crowdsourced networking app. Like you can crowdsource people to do different kind of market research studies. Then of course, one reason was the COVID came. That it was a bit difficult to do. I think we could have grown that business at some scale. Hard to know what scale, but yeah, you know, that's the situation. What can you do? Maybe there was some problems. It could have not flown either way. But yeah, we had few customers who were already paying, few pilot customers, and then we get this funding. We get the kind of external board, and there was a lot of like well-meaning people there. Like it is good advice in many other cases probably that you should hire now 2 to 3 salespersons that you can really start ramping up the growth. And like let's try to get the company to the million revenue level. Then we can think about the other stuff. And it's really well-meaning thought. And in many cases it works. But when you're trying to build this kind of scalable product-led business, you really need to know that the product works before you go and try to scale it. Like especially if your development resources are a little bit limited, so you are not able to change the product in like 1 month completely to the other direction. So I think it's quite general problem. Yeah, we hired one salesperson. He was really doing his best to make it work, but unfortunately, the product was, for some reason, it wasn't, for that situation of time, it didn't work. And it was not his fault. It was our fault. And then we needed to go back to the drawing table and try to find another way forward.
No, but that's really good insight. And once again, as said, yes, you would always like to build kind of this linear line of consistent growth, but as you do know, we do kind of use the J curve as our Bible, and by definition, the J curve first starts going down before you actually do find the right solution that you can then start scaling. So I think it's really good that you have been reacting to it fairly quickly, and you have been pivoting in a timely fashion, which brings me to the next point. One of the biggest things that we celebrate in our end is whenever the company has reached the break-even state, because then you're in control of your own destiny, and Buenno has gotten there now. So how would you say, what have been kind of the biggest obstacles for you to reach that stage, and now looking back, is there something that could have been done to get there even sooner?
Probably many things. Quite many things. Of course, you can do better. But I think, like, well, first of all, like, we are, like, of course, like a product-led company, like SaaS business company. So then to discuss, you need to have a product to sell. And so then you need to know, like, who develops it and what kind of resources. Initially, we started doing it with a consulting company, which were doing really good work. And maybe it was a good thing in the beginning to get it kind of started, get it a little bit bigger team to help out. But quite early on, we realized that if we are going to continue this, we are not going to be able to build pretty much anything with these resources that we had. So quite early on, we hired then a full-time developer for our team, which is actually one of the caveats of our company, because we are not like technical people or founders. So of course, then you need to, I think if you are building a product-led company, this is really crucial, like how do you manage the development side of things. And luckily we found a really good developer into our team who has been able kind of grow the product with the help of a little bit of consulting outside as well. But I think that's one of the kind of the biggest thing. Maybe development-wise, like, our resources have been a bit limited. We have had like multiple ideas, but we have been needed to focus on some like more ground principles features yet before actually going to those things that we know that would be worthwhile for our customers, but we just don't have time and resources to do that. So that's of course one thing. Yeah, you always wish for more, but okay, what can you do? The pivot, it's difficult to get the funding immediately after when you have 5,000 euros monthly recurring revenue and everything. But okay, that's one thing. Of course, then I think very important thing, it's kind of evolving process in so many fronts. What is the value proposition that you make for the customers? How does it evolve? How does the method of selling evolve? And then of course the product in those, like, what is the target market you are? And I think the biggest thing is like how to get that kind of iteration loop going faster. For example, in the sales front, we have tried like multiple different ways of like what is the method of how we can actually reach the customers that we want. And I think that took a bit too long time for us, for example, to really find out that these common practices of like sending email campaigns and then, those just don't work, didn't work in our situation. And I think only like 1.5 years ago, about 1.5 years, we really kind of found the model and a way that we can reach those ideal customers that we want. But yeah, in general, what could make it faster? Like, how you keep that wheel spinning. For example, the sales front. Like, very important thing is that the founder has really enough time for that. Like, for example, the sales side of things. So in our case, it was a little bit of a mixed bag because we were still doing our old business a bit of a side, and then we are trying to grow the SaaS side of the business. So, you have like multiple different things you are focusing on. Well, the old business was still keeping us afloat. Like, it was providing us the runaway to do the stuff. We probably couldn't have found the funding for the new SaaS business yet with those metrics that we had. So of course, in the ideal world, like you would have all the time, but I think that's one of the pivotal things. The founder or the sales team really needs to have enough focus and time to actually get the feedback, trying to evolve to the value proposition and message, and then of course on the development side there as well. So these two kind of processes needs to have enough resources to be able to, if you want to speed the things up.
Yeah, a lot of valuable things that you said there, but I also think one of the things that kind of came between the lines is also valuable from the point of view that when you do have limited resources, that actually forces you to focus and really pick what are the most critical things. What do we need to get done first? Because I do think that the customers often are willing to wait for certain things if they feel that there is value on the table. So if you are able to fix the most important things first, then you kind of earn your right to advance to the next stage. And from listening to what you've said with the founders spending a lot of time understanding the customer issues, you spending a lot of time with your co-founder to discuss and identify what are the most critical things, and then giving that feedback to the development side. I think it seems to be really working well, and in that sense, I think you can oftentimes kind of turn it around that the limited resources help you
absolutely
to do things in a better and more efficient way.
Then you could go like also like if you have too much resources, I can totally understand that, and then also like for example like this when you don't have tech founder, like how do you manage the development team, for example? Like I have been constantly learning while we go, and probably I know a bit about that already, but like in the beginning I wouldn't have been suitable for managing 3 developers. Yeah. Like we couldn't get them like fully working. So in that sense, kind of resources needs to grow by the status of the company. But yeah, I guess like the biggest thing is that you have enough resources and time for those crucial things. Make the learning process go faster. That's maybe the biggest. For those things you need to have time, and then you probably need to focus. You need to find the right focus.
Fully agree, and I think it's good also. You're all the time kind of being very conscious of what the strengths and weaknesses are throughout the team, and what you need to develop in order to be able to be better. So that's a really good approach. I'm really interested to hear now that you've kind of gone through the different development stages and you've now found quite a bit of success that is driving you forward. So could you share some highlights of you talked about your value proposition and what is the current value that you are able to provide to your customers?
You mean like iteration of the value proposition?
No. I think more just where have you landed now? How do you see the value that you are creating to your customers as of today?
Yeah, I think of course we are providing a lot of like this feedback and data there, but like there's kind of like maybe like few anecdotes that help you understand. Like for example, we started with this a big company just in this August, big company, and we were doing a pilot study. Like it was first only for this kind of top level management open. After 2 weeks, they contacted us that, hey, can we open this for all the people, store managers and because they are so excited about this data that you're providing, and this is actually so simple to use that they will know how to use it already. So maybe that's kind of one of the values, kind of like how you really get all of the stakeholders in the company to get interested in and actually use this data that we are providing. So that's for example one basic example. But I guess the biggest thing for us is like how do we affect the things in the real world? in positive way and also in the development side of things. So usually a lot of our the feedback we are providing motivates people to do better work, but then they found new insights there as well. So that's one of the biggest things for us.
Well, that's good to hear, and I do think as you mentioned, one of the challenges is that there's a lot of data available, but it's not being utilized, it's not being used, it's not being taken advantage of, and if you can really help the engagement of your customer companies to really want to work with the data, that's really good. You've started your international journey now as well. Could you talk a little bit about how you're looking at the international expansion and what steps you have taken so far?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's we are in the beginning of international steps. Maybe that would be kind of, we are just opening the door. Well, it is already a bit open, but yeah, basically our situation currently is that through our some customers we are already operating in like international way. Like one of our biggest car dealers is working in Germany and Sweden, so we are doing that. And then, for example, with Power, we are doing all the Nordic countries. We have Nordic level deal, but those deals we kind of got through kind of like first we are working with the Finnish management team, and then we go through the Nordic or the international level. But starting from now, like what are our ideas basically for going abroad? And our idea is like we need to still narrow down the focus. Like what is the ideal customer that we really need to build the product on? And that will be kind of special retail probably for us. Automotive industry or this kind of special retail companies. Like we really need to, like, what are the things that they need? Like we need to be 3 times better product for those companies than all the competitors that they have locally there. So that's one thing. Then the second thing is that we think that because as we are quite technological product, we need to have really good integrations on those systems that our service needs to be connected. So basically customer data platforms or ERP solutions, so that then the switching on to us is super easy. Kind of like you don't need to think about, this is going to be 2 to 3 months integration project, but we can push the switch and it will be working. And then maybe the third idea, this is of course like current idea, like let's see what the real world brings us and what's the learning there, but that we will go forward a bit more kind of platform-based growth. Like we maybe not so much in geographical sense, but more like because we are focusing quite narrow, like market area, as I said, this specialty retail, so that we will go through kind of those different CDP or ERP platforms that these companies are using. Oh, you're using this platform. We have the best integration. And by the way, we are 3 times better product than your local competition for this specific use case that you have. That's how we are just starting it. And of course, let's see what the real world
but that's I think once again a lot of good insights, and I really like the fact that your first steps of the international journey start with the customers you already know, because as said, that gives you a chance to build a reference case in a new market, learn about the new market and understand what works, what doesn't work there. So you're not taking huge risks by putting resources into a certain market up front and then seeing if it works or not. So I think everything that you said makes a lot of sense, and it's going to be interesting to follow that journey and see where it leads.
Maybe I need to come after 1 year. I need to come back and tell how did it go. But
absolutely. We'd be excited to hear. I think we're getting to the point where we're going to start wrapping up the discussion. But before I get to our final questions, one thing I would still like to hear from you are your thoughts on the future of the customer experience management altogether, and where do you see Buenno's role in all of that? What are the trends that you are seeing now?
Yeah, I think, well, one of the big drivers and factors is that the amount of data is just growing all the time. Like, this kind of prompt data that we are like getting from the service, but also the other kind of data, kind of like analytics of voice or different kind of text interactions or whatever. So that's just growing all the time. And in our specific field, because we are still more like this customer feedback solution, I think where we are heading towards is this actually a bit same as in probably many other product categories. This kind of assistant kind of solution, where actually you are not reading reports or you are not reading different kind of graphs, but the system is already providing you the alerts or summaries or insights that is actually necessary on current actually at the right time and for the right persons. Kind of like, okay, what do you need to know today? Or hey, we notice something like this. So the system is quite active there. Not that just we have some graphs in the report portal, but it's actively managing actually. Managing the people or providing them some insight that they can immediately put into practice.
Very good. Now getting to our closing questions, we had Risto Rautakorpi in the studio last week, and he wanted to know from you. We've talked a lot about your learning journey, but what do you consider the biggest surprise, the learning that you've encountered during this journey?
Biggest surprise? That is interesting. I think actually maybe one. I'm not sure if this is the biggest surprise, but it goes like quite contrary to many other philosophies. But in the sales process side, for example, the one thing that actually has worked for us now is that we invest a lot of time for one special person, one individual in the company. Kind of like normally you would think that you need to find a scalable model where you do things like with a bunch of people, but we might investigate like half a day or full day before we even send the first email for the person. That has, I think that's at least it's quite nuanced finding, but I find it's quite funny that actually works. Then we get replies. 60% of the customers reply, 30% get the meeting, and from those meetings, quite many actually want to buy. It's completely different kind of tone in this sales discussion when you actually do the homework before you try. Maybe that's something.
That's a great insight and a good learning. And I do think, as you said, it's not something that is generally recognized. So in that sense, it is a surprise learning, but it's a good one. It's a good one that I think a lot of people can learn from. All right. So then when we get to our regular final questions, the first one is, what do you know today that you wish you had known years ago?
I think it has to come to this pre-matter scaling because it's just like, you lose quite easily. We lost like 6 months of our time or even a bit more. Kind of like I think that's one of the important things. Like you before you start hiring the salesperson, like do you really have the growth rate and the feeling that there is the product market fit and the metrics. I maybe Risto told actually in the earlier podcast already, but like maybe that's something, like you don't need to when you get maybe that's kind of to learn. Like when you get the funding, you don't need to immediately get the 2x MRR growth. Be sure about the product before you go to that kind of thing. Next month needs to be twice the amount of MRR than this month.
That's music to our ears. I said yes in our previous episode. We discussed with Risto about the fact that when you're in the early stages, kind of the revenue is not the most relevant measure. What is the relevant measure is what are you learning and how are you using that learning to develop. So really, really good stuff. We've touched upon this second question already a little bit, so I'll just ask it anyway in terms of what do you think that could have helped you move faster on your learning curve?
Yeah, I think allocating enough resources for those principal functions, kind of like that, you really can have the focus In the sales part for the founder, we have founder led sales or the development side. So kind of really that you can focus on those things. Yeah. Especially in the sales front, like iterating the message, getting the feedback and the model side of things, that you really can fully invest yourself into that. I think it's very important.
All right, very good. That's everything that I had for you today, Aaku. And as you mentioned there, it would be really nice to catch up with you later on in the journey and see how things have developed from here. So thank you very much for taking your time and sharing your insights with our audience.
It was a pleasure.